Good evening. This is TV47 Daily Report, and I'm Victor Muyakane. From Sign Language is Ms. Jabi Watt. First, the highlights. Petitioners in the impeached Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua's case file notice of appeal challenging the decision that the DCJ had powers to constitute the three-judge bench. Also tonight, more than 71,000 Kenyans have submitted views on the extension of term limits for elected leaders ahead of tomorrow's deadline on public participation.
That kind of amendment is an amendment that requires public participation through a referendum.
Plus, President William Ruto defends the Kenya-Adani energy deal, saying the deal will address perennial power outages.
It's an investment by the private sector. They are going to put their money, 12 billion shillings, into this project, generate energy, and we will buy the energy from them.
And human rights groups lead protests in Nairobi's Eastleigh over the murder of a woman and her two daughters.
Ambayo wamefanya hicho kitendo waletwe mbele ya haki. That's all.
Folks, thank you for choosing us to inform you this evening. We hope to live up to your billing. And now we begin our news with something that has been hitting the headlines of late. The President, William Ruto's administration, is to bank on the public-private partnerships to enhance development in the country. President Ruto, while launching a geothermal project, defended the Adani Group that recently, with the government, signed a 95 billion shilling power transmission deal, insisting that investments by the private sector partners will help the country to create jobs and increase industrialization. Moige William with the details.
While defending the deal, President William Ruto said it will help Kenya address perennial power losses. The president spoke during the signing of a memorandum of understanding for sustainable green ammonia collaboration during the groundbreaking ceremony for the 35 megawatts or Power 22 geothermal plant in Menengai, Nakuru County.
The Adani Group are investing in the transmission line. Their money, 95 billion. We would have otherwise gone to borrow that money, burden the people of Kenya. We will pay for that transmission line using a wheeling charge that has been negotiated.
At the event, Ruto seized the moment to call on Kenyans to support investments by private sector partners, saying that it creates a win-win outcome for the government and the partners involved, together with the nation at large.
And it is important for us as a nation to appreciate that a partnership between public and the private sector gives us a win-win outcome where we can deliver public services and public goods using the efficiency of the private sector, investment of the private sector, as a way of supporting overall development.
The president further stated that the model taken up by the Kenya Kwanza administration of partnering with private institutions in development projects will reduce the burden of overtaxation on Mwananchi and the government borrowing money for development.
Many people would have expected us as government to borrow money and come and invest in this facility. That is not the right way to go about it, because we do not want to burden the people of Kenya with either additional taxes or additional loans.
If the president's words are anything to go by, the government in the coming days may enter into more private-public partnership, even as President Ruto promises more development without the burden of overtaxation or government borrowing. Moige William, TV47.
You have until tomorrow to submit your views on the proposed amendment bill to extend the term for your president, governor, senator, member of parliament, and even the member of the county assembly to 7 years from the current 5. More than 70,000 Kenyans have already submitted their views on the 7-year term limit proposal. As our political reporter Elizabeth Mutuku now tells us.
Friday, it is the deadline for submission of public views for the extension of term limit for elected leaders, a bill proposed by Nandi Senator Samson Cherargei. Over 71,000 Kenyans had submitted their memoranda by Thursday morning.
That kind of amendment is an amendment that requires public participation through a referendum. So I do not think that Kenyans are ready to extend the length of parliament, to extend the length of presidency, to extend the length of office for MCS. In fact, most Kenyans are feeling that leaders have let them down. And we cannot respond to Kenyans in that manner by saying we want to enhance our term limit.
Section of Kenyans are already running online campaign against the bill, while the ruling party UDA has also distanced itself from the proposals. Various leaders who are opposed to Cherargei's proposal before the Senate Committee on Justice, Legal Affairs and Human Rights, terming it a threat to democratic accountability as well as misplaced priority.
The court okayed the affordable housing. Nobody is talking about it. So it is a scheme that we look at Gachagua, we look at the deputy president, we look at what is happening, and then all of a sudden the 7-year term. Can you imagine a 7-year term of the current governance?
Licha katiba ambayo lazima Wakenya wapige kura ili wabadilishe mfumo mzima, ama kwa kimombo wanasema the structure of the constitution. Sasa mimi najiunga na Wakenya wengine kwamba tulipiga kura ya kubadilisha katiba na ni miaka 5. Iwapo mtu ana maoni mbadala, tukutane mashinani.
In his proposal, Cherargei proposes an amendment to Article 136 of Constitution, which provides for election of president to increase the term of president from 5 years to 7 years. The Nandi senator is also proposing an amendment to Articles 101, Articles 177 and Article 180 of the Constitution to extend the terms of MPs, senators, MCAs and governors to 7 years. He also proposed the introduction of the office of Prime Minister, who shall be the leader of the largest party or coalition of parties in Parliament. He is also proposing an appointment of Prime Minister by the President from amongst members of Parliament. This bill also seeks to increase the parliamentary role of the Senate by addressing the issues that have hampered the implementation of the Constitution.
Who are in the minority side or opposition are yearning for the day this government would go home, not increasing the term limit. Already Kenyans are very tired, and we saw what happened to the Gen Zs. They went to the streets saying that this government must go wrong. So again, bringing a motion that would lead to changing the term limit to 7 years, that is ridiculous, it's uncalled for, and something that we should condemn and not support. So I don't support at all.
For now, the deadline to submit your views on the proposed amendment lapses on Friday. Elizabeth Mutuku, TV47, Nairobi.
In other news, 8 suspects, among them senior government officials from the county government of Bomet, have been arrested over allegations of fraudulent payments of about 1.5 billion shillings. The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission raided the county government offices and arrested the 8 senior officials, and they were arrested again over allegations of embezzlement of funds amounting to more than 1.5 billion shillings. EACC spokesperson Eric Ngumbi has confirmed that those arrested include County Executive Committee members and chief officers. And officers from the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, DCI, have grilled 2 key suspects, or rather persons of interest, in the ongoing investigations into the murder of 3 women in Nairobi's Eastleigh estate. This as traders and residents of Eastleigh took to the streets, demanding justice for the 3 women. Samira Mohammed with the details.
2 days after the discovery of the bodies of the Habu Dahir, Amina and Swaiba, sleuths from the Directorate of Criminal Investigations spent the better part of the day grilling 2 key persons of interest in connection to the ongoing investigation into the murder of the 3, a mother and her 2 daughters. The 3 women who had gone missing on Monday evening were later found dead under horrifying circumstances, with the mutilated bodies discovered in Bahati, Parklands and Machakos respectively, with similar injuries.
Tulipata mwili moja Parklands, ngine Eastleigh Bahati, mama inasemekana Machakos.
These as business came to a standstill in Nairobi's bustling Eastleigh area as residents took to the street to protest the horrifying murders of the 3 women. The expressed their outrage and grief over the tragic incident.
Yani inashangaza sana yani kitendo ambacho hakifurahishi sana. Sasa sisi hatuna shida yote hapa. Tumekuja kufanya maandamano ya amani.
Kufanya maandamano ya amani. Kuna vitendo imetendeka, mama na watoto 2 wake wameuliwa kimnyama, kifo ya unyama.
A section of leaders and traders have strongly condemned the atrocities committed against the 3, further calling on the Directorate of Criminal Investigations to expedite on the investigations and ensure that justice is served to the family of the 3.
Tunataka tupate taarifa rasmi kutoka kwa polisi, idara ya polisi na ujasusi, ituelezee ni nini kimewatendekea hawa dada zetu na ni kina nani ambao walihusika kwa mauaji haya ya kikatili.
Justice, tunataka tupate justice. Haki ambayo tunataka tupate haki, yani wale watu wetu ambao wameuliwa. All we want is just justice. Wale ambao culprits ambao wamefanya hicho kitendo waletwe mbele ya haki. That's all.
Samira Mohammed for TV47.
A section of governors have called on unity in the country. While attending this year's Tobongo Lore Festival in Turkana County, the leaders have shunned what they termed to be exclusion politics in the country. George Meringa reports.
On the first day of the famous Tobongo Lore Festival, the county bosses descended on a carless centre in Lodwar, Turkana Central. This being the 8th edition of the Turkana County Cultural Festival, leaders took the chance to emphasize on matters unity of the country.
Ukiangalia wale magavana tumekuja hapa, we represent Kenya. Kuna gavana kutoka Central, kuna gavana kutoka Western, mimi Northeastern, Rift Valley, Eastern, Northeastern. Tunataka Kenya ikae hivyo, tuwe kitu kimoja.
The 6 governors saying there is a clear need by the nation to come together and shun tribal politics, saying there has been a deliberate plan to unite the country as opposed to pushing in different directions, more so along tribal lines.
Tuko hapa ikiwa ni sherehe ya pili tangu tukue na serikali mpya. Watu wa Turkana katika ile mura ingine mlipiga kura katika milengo yote. Na mimi nakumbuka last time kuna wengine mlikataza kuongea hapa. Lakini saa hii mimi tunajua zote kupitia kwa rais wetu, tuko kwa ile inaitwa broad based government. Kwa hivyo kila mtu ako pale ndani. Na hiyo ni kitu ya maana sana kwa sherehe kama hizi.
The day also provided a chance for Nandi Governor Stephen Sang to choose a hilarious choice of introduction of his colleague governors.
Mnapotuambia hapa Turkana karibuni nyumbani, inamaanisha ya kwamba Kenya na dunia ni moja. Itakuwa ni jambo ambao haifai tukisema Kenya kuja pamoja, wananchi na dunia kuja Turkana, lakini tukiwa katika Kenya tuanze mirengo ya kikabila. Na hiyo ndio maana tunashukuru Mungu kwamba wakati tunaenda mbele kama viongozi, hatutakuwa na nafasi ya kusema tusiguze hapa, tusiguze kule na tusiguze sehemu nyingine. Tunataka tuguze Kenya yote kwa sababu Kenya ni moja na wananchi wa Kenya wako pamoja. Na kwa hivyo siku ya leo ni furaha kubwa mimi nikitoka Nandi kuja hapa Turkana Tumepata gavana kutoka Nyeri amekuja Turkana, gavana kutoka Tharaka Nithi amekuja Turkana. Na unajua hii magavana wawili hawa iko na historia mzuri. Huyu wa Nyeri ndio gavana wa yule deputy president ambaye anaondoka. Sasa Tharaka Nithi ni gavana wa yule deputy president mpya anayeingia katika nchi. Na mimi nilisema lazima niwalete wote hapa kwa sababu Kenya lazima ikuwe moja. Ama mnasema nini watu wa Turkana? Si ndio hiyo? Kaiga ni gavana wa Rigiji. Njuki ni gavana wa Professor Kithure Kindiki.
According to Tharaka Nithi Governor Muthomi Njuki, President William Ruto will attend the festival on Friday. George Maringa, TV47, Nairobi.
The government is working with stakeholders, among them the members of the private sector, to address the shortage of science teachers in the country. Education CS Julius Migos has said this just a day after the Teachers Service Commission raised a similar concern on the shortage. Willie Dennis Njiru tells us more.
Education CS Julius Ogamba says the ministry is working towards addressing a serious shortage of technology teachers in schools across the country.
The ministry has invested in the requisite ICT infrastructure, capacity building of teachers and development of digital content. The program we are launching here today, therefore, is timely and being implemented at an opportune time when competency-based teacher education targets to equip the teacher educators and the teacher trainees with the relevant knowledge and skills necessary for development of digital literacy among our learners.
This comes just a day after Teacher Service Commission warned that there is a shortage of science teachers in the country. During her appearance before the National Assembly Education Committee, Teacher Service Commission CEO Nancy Macharia stated that despite having over 400,000 unemployed teachers nationwide, the Commission is struggling to recruit teachers for science subjects.
It underscores the utilization of ICT in transforming education and highlights the challenges of access, the challenges of quality, the challenges of relevance and equity that the education system faces.
The ministry is working with the private sector to address technology advancement, with the first phase already completed, benefiting 8 teachers training institutions of 35 public institutions in the country, while the second phase of 8 other institutions is scheduled to start next month.
We donate about 400 to 600 computers every year to various schools. Was that when the facility is there, when we start, there's one teacher perhaps who knows how to teach the students or to give them digital skills. But when that teacher is transferred, computers fall into disuse. And so with interaction, in our interaction with the Ministry of Education, it was recognized that this is a gap in the teaching of teacher trainees.
The use of ICT in learning and training not only enhances educational outcomes in our teachers training colleges, but also equips our teacher educators with the necessary tools for preparation of teacher trainees to succeed in the rapidly evolving 21st century classroom.
Willie Dennis Njiru, TV47.
The government is working towards achieving a 100% clean energy grid by 2030. This is according to President William Ruto, who has called on the private sector to harness Kenya's geothermal potential and realize its ambitious goal. He spoke when he launched the 105-megawatt Menengai project in Nakuru. Chichi Josephine now reports.
Speaking in Menengai, Nakuru County, President William Ruto said that the country is making strides in national electric power grid that will see 100% clean by 2030.
Our nation is taking a big step forward in our quest to achieve the historic goal of a national electricity power grid that is 100% green by 2030.
The project is to establish a 35 megawatt power plant by Power 22, highlighting the commitment to unlocking Kenya's vast geothermal potential to drive economic growth.
The commencement of this project to establish a 35 megawatt power plant by Power 22 highlights our commitment to unlock Kenya's vast geothermal potential to drive economic growth.
This particular power plant by Power 2022 is going to not only add additional power to the national grid, but is going to go a long way in terms of creating an opportunity for investors to come into our country.
He said this is a demonstration of the country's strength in mobilizing private sector investment to develop critical infrastructure and provide essential services, thereby accelerating economic transformation.
It is also a clear demonstration of our strength in mobilizing private sector investment to develop critical infrastructure and provide essential services, thereby accelerating economic transformation.
The attraction of independent power producers, the IPPs, is a clear indication that Nakuru County has in place an enabling environment for local and international investment.
So far, the country has tapped only 950 megawatt, a small fraction of the geothermal potential of nearly 10,000 megawatt, leaving immense opportunities still untapped.
So far, we have tapped only 950 megawatts, a small fraction of our geothermal potential of nearly 10,000 megawatts, leaving immense opportunities still untapped.
The president called on the private sector to take full advantage of these and move more decisively and with the necessary speed. He said, although the country is yet to utilize our full geothermal energy potential, Kenya is the 6th largest geothermal producer globally.
Given the continually rising fossil fuels and the intensifying threat of climate change, investing in renewable energy is efficient, prudent, and sustainable.
Geothermal energy accounts for over 50% of the national power mix, making Kenya a global leader in this sector.
Geothermal energy accounts for over 50% of our national power mix, making our nation a global leader in this sector.
The completion of the 105 megawatt Menengai project will elevate Kenya's global ranking to 5th overall.
The completion of the 105 megawatt Menengai project will elevate Kenya's global ranking to 5th overall globally.
The Power 22 plant is the third facility within the Menengai 105 megawatt complex. Plans are underway to expand the geothermal operations in Olkaria, Eburu and Baringo, where over 75 megawatts have already been proven and will soon be added to the grid. The president urged the Geothermal Development Corporation to develop and sustain a high capacity to offer effective leadership in driving Kenya's energy transition. Chichi Josephine, TV47.
Tonight, the Principal Secretary for Foreign Affairs, Korir Singwe, has confirmed that Kenya has repatriated 4 nationals of the Republic of Turkey at their government's request. During a roundtable discussion with civil society on foreign policy review, Singwe emphasized that Kenya acted appropriately in responding to Turkey's request, aligning with the principle of non-interference in other nations' internal affairs. He further noted that Turkey remains a friendly nation with Kenya, with historical and strategic diplomatic ties to Kenya.
It is our very sincere hope and belief that these individuals will be subjected to due process consistent with the laws of the country as well as international principles. But again, I just want to reiterate that this does not dilute our humanitarian ethos and our firm belief that those fleeing persecution, those fleeing conflicts are welcome to our country.
Now, more than 300,000 legal documents, including identification cards, driving licenses and birth certificates, remain uncollected at Huduma centers across the country. This is according to the Ministry of Public Service, which has raised an alarm over the uncollected documents, further sending an urgent appeal to all Kenyans to collect these essential documents from the 57 Huduma centers countrywide.
According to Public Service CS Justin Muturi, more than 190,000 national IDs are yet to be collected from Huduma centers, whereas 60,000 driving licenses and 55,000 birth certificates are lying unclaimed in various Huduma centers across the nation. CS Muturi spoke during a visit at Thika Huduma centers, where he expressed concern over the growing number of unclaimed legal documents vis-a-vis the limited storage capacities at the 57 Huduma centers across the country.
Please, Kenyans, visit the Huduma centers, collect your documents. In Kenya, we have a total of 57 Huduma centers. In all those centers, there are national ID cards. In total, 190,000 plus. There are over 60,000 these new driving licenses nationally, which have not been collected. There are over 55,000 birth certificates lying in various Huduma centers that have not been collected. Please, Kenyans, I'm sure you need those documents for particular purposes.
CS Muturi stressed that national IDs, driving licenses and birth certificates are essential papers to accessing numerous services, including healthcare, education, and financial assistance. At the Thika Huduma Center alone, he revealed that there are more than 10,000 uncollected IDs, 6,000 driving licenses, and 2,800 unclaimed birth certificates.
Go and pick them, and the center has already reached out to them through an SMS message that your document is ready. Please.
However, the CS has lauded the efficiency at the centers, further rating their overall performance at over 85% and announcing that the government is rolling out plans to expand Huduma Center services.
We have about 74 members of parliament who have written, indicating their willingness to collaborate with Huduma in construction of Huduma centers in their constituencies. More and more are coming forward.
The Huduma Kenya Service Delivery Program was officially launched by retired President Uhuru Kenyatta in 2013 with the aim of ensuring that citizens enjoy easy access to government services. The program is anchored on the one-stop shop government services policy and has seen up to 57 Huduma centers operating countrywide. Arnold Adidi, TV47.
And on that note, that story by Arnold Adidi, we want to take a little bit of a break. We'll be right back with more content. Please keep it right here on TV47, the home of untold stories.
Hey there friends, welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in?
I was number 2.
What position were you?
Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
We're going to do half cup of chocolate chips. And the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Join us as we explore the journeys of those who defy the odds and break barriers. We dive deep into the stories of triumph.
Sometimes when parenting a child with a special need or whatever disability, family life becomes a bit complicated and you may end up raising the child on your own.
Here, we inspire.
I have a farm which one we showcase with other dyslexic youths and autism, how to farm.
Motivate.
It's never easy, but what we do, the best thing is to work with another parent who has an elder child than yours.
And break through the barriers one story at a time. Push your boundaries beyond the limit. Saturdays at 8 p.m. The grind.
Welcome back. If you are joining us right now, this is TV47 Daily Report with me, Victor Moyaka, and of course, Ms. Jabiwat on sign language. Let's proceed. The transition from the National Health Insurance Fund, NHIF, to the Social Health Authority, or SHA, is proving challenging for many Kenyans, especially when it comes to registration. This is despite calls from the President and the Council of Governors for citizens to register. Confusion and a lack of clarity have left millions struggling to access essential healthcare services. Anne Odida reports.
As the government pushes for the transition from the National Health Insurance Fund (NHIF) to the Social Health Authority (SHA), Kenyans at the grassroots level are facing challenges in accessing healthcare services. Some who have been relying on NHIF are now learning that the fund is defunct 4 weeks later, forcing them to pay out of pocket.
Huwa natumianga NHIF, lakini leo nimekuja nikaambiwa hakuna NHIF, imeisha na hatuchai kuenda kuruka kwa ile SHA. So imetupiti tulipe pesa.
It is the same script, different cast in Homa Bay County. Residents report that neither SHA nor NHIF are operational, leaving them without access to the healthcare services they need.
Tunashangaa kwa nini hii cheti ya NHIF ama SHA iwezi tumika. Juu zote haitumiki. Sasa ukipeleka mtu wako kutibiwa, SHA haitumiki na NHIF haitumiki.
I personally went to the hospital to seek medication. And before that, when we had NHIF, things were just okay. Until the other week that I went to seek medication, there's nothing going on there. And I was told my card is active and I can't get the medication that I was seeking.
Citizens across the country are calling on the government to provide proper clarification on the situation, with many expressing frustration over the lack of services in hospitals since NHIF was discontinued.
You can't go and find out if your card is working, and then when you go to where it is supposed to be working, then you are told that it is not working.
Governors, on the other hand, are emphasizing the need for Kenyans to register with SHA, arguing that it will promote equality in the healthcare sector.
Tumeomba kila mtu ajiandikishe ndio aweze kupata huduma ya hospitali. Kama uko na pesa ama una pesa, serikali imesema ushughulikiwe katika ile haja zako zote.
President William Ruto, speaking in Bomet County, also urged Kenyans to register for SHA in large numbers, noting that over 13 million people have already signed up. In addition, migration from NHIF to SHA is expected to be fully completed within the next 3 months.
Very happy that we are making very steady progress. In the last 1 month, we have registered and brought on board 13 million Kenyans. We believe that this exercise can be concluded in the next 2 to 3 months. We should be able to have every Kenyan registered.
As the transition continues, Kenyans are left seeking clearer communication from the government and better access to the services promised under SHA. However, the registration process itself seems to be a stumbling block for many. Anne Odida, TV47.
And the petitioners in the impeached Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua's case have filed a notice of appeal challenging a decision that the Deputy Chief Justice, Philomena Mwilu, had powers to constitute the 3-judge bench. The Gachagua legal team is challenging the decision of the High Court yesterday that stated that DCJ Mwilu acted legally in forming the bench. Gachagua, through his lawyers, has spent the better part of the day in the courts trying to challenge the bench.
To preserve the substratum, to accord the court time to hear submissions on the weighty issues of law of the Constitution. So my plea is that you extend those orders because they were to expire tonight.
If at all, it is now their changed position that the issue as to whether they can be extended or not should be brought before the bench, we are willing, ready, and able to argue it right now.
And that letter makes serious allegations, not just about this bench, but about other judges who are not in this matter.
Senior counsel and all the counsel here, but please let us appreciate that this is a court of law. And when directions are made, let's respect those directions. I'm making this direction. We have allocated time. Should it become necessary for one party to ask for more time, we will consider that.
The High Court in Meru has today sentenced a man accused of severally stabbing an activist and resulting to her death for 30 years imprisonment. Patrick Nawit, who was arrested for fatally stabbing Isiolo-based human rights activist Elizabeth Ikaru 5 times, was sentenced by the Meru High Court Judge Edward Mureithi for 30 years in prison.
In its ruling, the Meru High Court, the prosecution presented 11 witnesses who the court says proved beyond any reasonable doubt that the security guard Patrick Nawet intentionally murdered the human rights activist. According to Judge Edward Mureithi, there is no direct evidence of attack on accused, but there was evidence of struggle between the two. According to investigating officer, the judge termed the attack ferocious. The Meru High Court sentenced the accused for 30 years imprisonment.
Pursuant to section 3332 proviso of the Criminal Procedure Code, the sentence of 30 years shall commence on 17th of January 2022, the date when you, the accused, were arraigned in court and remanded to await your trial. That is the order of the court, delivered today, the 24th October 2024.
Accused was the sole breadwinner. According to his defense, Livingston Nyando from the Human Rights Defenders Coalition urged the community to find other means of solving issues in the society.
Miaka 30 ni ndogo, at least ataweza kutembelewa na watu wake katika gereza. Lakini Elizabeth ambaye ameacha watoto yatima na hawana baba na mama, at least itakuwa ina console kiasi kuliko vile ingekuwa kama hajaweza kuhukumiwa. Hii itakuwa ni funzo kwa wale ambao wamezoea kuchukua hatua kwa mikono yao, at least watajua kwamba kuna nchi ina sheria na kuna njia mingi za kutatua mizozo ya aina yoyote.
Njia ya kutatua mizozo katika karne ya sasa si ya kuuana, si ya kupigana, ni ya kutumia zile mbinu ambazo tumepewa kikatiba, mbinu moja ikiwepo kuja mahakamani na kueleza shida zako kama una chochote ambacho unataka.
Elizabeth Ekaru, a mother and a human rights activist and women's empowerment, was brutally murdered on January 3rd, 2022. Her death not only marked a tragic loss for those who knew her. Elizabeth Ibrahim Ekaru was a staunch advocate for women's rights, a champion of peace, and an environmental and land rights defender from Isiolo County. Paul Kirobi, TV47.
The Kenya Wildlife Service has organized a 2-day carnivore conference to exchange knowledge and ideas on carnivore conservation. These kinds of brainstorming among the conservationists will enable the realization of the 2024-2028 strategic plan that was launched on 30th of September this year. Anastasia Mukabi reports.
In a bid to bring to realization Strategic Plan 2024 to 2027, the Kenya Wildlife Service held a 2-day carnivore conference to brainstorm and exchange knowledge and different ideas on carnivore conservation.
The livelihood of our people are affected very much by the carnivores. One person was actually grabbed from a horse in a conservancy, from a horseback, and was grabbed by a lion and killed on spot. Another person again, out of the injury, two people were injured in private conservancies.
Speaking at the conference, different managers from the different parks across the country shared the challenges they are facing, since some of the methods that they use are harmful to the carnivore.
We are desisting from talking about human-wildlife conflicts, but now we are talking about human-wildlife coexistence. That is now the focus. That is a better way to look at it, because you look at it in both dimensions. You look at it in the dimension of the well-being of the people and also the well-being of the animals themselves.
Human-wildlife conflict being one of the major challenges that they are facing, the reserve managers pointed their achievements at their reserves.
Carnivore conservation in changing landscapes. You realize that our landscapes has changed a lot. Many things that have changed. The recent one that we know, of course, is the climate change influence. We've just coming from a big drought, where now this has really affected the communities. Can you imagine you losing your livestock, 90% or so about, and then the remaining that is remaining there is also taken away by conflict.
Since February, the human conflict has been on the rise, especially in Kiambu and Kajiado County. Therefore, this 2-day carnivore conference will impact this theme in solving this matter. Anastasia Mkabe, TV47.
Over to business news, where President William Ruto has met JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon, who is in the country as part of his African tour. The meeting at State House coming just days after the bank was approved by the Central Bank of Kenya to open a representative office in Nairobi. The office will serve as a liaison and marketing hub for JP Morgan and its subsidiaries. Though it will not engage in banking activities, the bank will explore business and investment opportunities in Kenya and the entire East African region. And still on matters business, Naivas Supermarket has opened a second store in Nairobi's Culinary area. This marks a significant milestone, with the retailer now having a total of 107 stores countrywide. Expanding its presence, the new outlet will be 24 hours food market store. It will be one of those, and Naivas Wood Avenue branch, of course, will boast a wide selection of products, including fresh produce, household goods, and a dedicated food market with prepared meals and snacks. The supermarket leadership also announced that they will be opening more stores in Tilisi and Mavoko areas of Athi River before the year ends.
So I think basically we acknowledge customers' requests. And like I had mentioned, we have a store just down here, our Kilimani store, on this side of the road. So when you look at the size of the store, it's definitely not enough to serve the ever-growing population in Kilimani. You can see the buildings coming up every day. So the residentials are coming up every day. So it's a growing area. And we're looking forward to serving customers on demand. So we saw the demand here. And it's a 24 hours location. So again, it's a busy location. And we decided that it's the right time to bring a store over here. And we serve the market.
It's clear, I think, the fact that we are working very hard to reach out to our customers, to reach out to the various communities that we work with. And we are doing that not just physically, but from a price-centric position. So if you walk through our stores, you'll realize that our prices are very competitive, our products are very fresh, our offering is quite wide, the variety of products is quite huge. I'm very excited for you to just walk through and see what we have offered for you today.
I have come specifically for this Naivas opening because it's a grand opening in Kilimani, and I just wanted to feel how Kilimani is when it comes to shopping experience. Yeah.
Now over to matters food, and the Boma International Hospitality College hosted the inaugural Ladha za Africa African Cuisine Competition, celebrating the rich culinary heritage of Africa. Anastasia Mukabi with that report.
The first time Boma International Hospitality College hosted the thrilling African cuisine competition featuring 18 talented participants from 12 culinary institutions across Africa. This competition put their skills, creativity and ability to work under pressure to the ultimate test. They showcased their artistry, whipping up cocktails with unique flavors and advanced techniques. Leaders who graced the event praised the competition, emphasizing its potential to boost the tourism sector and elevate global awareness of African cuisine.
We want our friends from the rest of the world, when they come to this continent, to celebrate this continent. But we from the continent must be proud of ourselves, must be sure of ourselves.
For the stakeholders in the culinary industry are advocating for the inclusion for more chefs, particularly from all 47 counties in Kenya.
So that we are at least beyond the 18 that I'm hearing. We sponsor to try to touch every corner of the country so that we can bring out all those talents.
Still behind in terms of skills, in terms of expertise that is required from our trainers, in terms of equipment. So as the hospitality sector, I think we need to take this conversation a little bit higher so that we get to meet the standards that are out there.
Anastasia Mukabi, runinga ya TV47.
Sports News brought to
Hey there friends, welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in?
I was number 2.
What position were you?
Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
We're going to do half cup of chocolate chips. And the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Join us as we explore the journeys of those who defy the odds and break barriers. We dive deep into the stories of triumph.
Sometimes when parenting a child with a special need or whatever disability, family life becomes a bit complicated and you may end up raising the child on your own.
Here, we inspire.
I have a farm which one we showcase with other dyslexic youths and autism, how to farm.
Motivate.
It's never easy, but what we do, the best thing is to work with another parent who has an elder child than yours.
And break through the barriers one story at a time. Push your boundaries beyond the limit. Saturdays at 8 p.m. The Grind, where business meets brilliance. It's not just about the ideas.
I was working as a shampoo boy. I used to wash clients' hair on the sink.
It's about making them happen. From big wins.
In primary school, when we would be asked what people want to be, I was categorical that I want to be a nurse.
To hard lessons.
The consoles change, the gaming equipment keep changing.
We cover it all. Tune in to The Grind, where every episode is packed with insights.
The person who is serving customers, always be a customer-centric.
Strategies.
When you pay attention to detail, you get luxury items.
And stories to fuel your ambition. Don't just dream it, grind it. Mondays at 7:30 p.m.
Jiunge nasi tunapoangazia safari za viongozi bora. Kutoka kwa ushindi mkubwa hadi masomo magumu.
Wakati wetu kwamba wasichana si wa kusoma, ni wa kuolewa, ng'ombe ipatikane, wazazi wakuwe watajiri.
Tunashughulikia yote.
I wish I were a better investor.
My parents taught me how to look for things for myself.
Tazama Mfahamu Kiongozi, ambapo kila kipindi kimejaa maarifa, mikakati na hadithi za kukuza azma yako.
For me to succeed, I have to fight.
Kila Alhamisi saa 1:30.
Hey there friends, welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in?
I was number 2.
What position were you?
Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
You're going to do half cup of chocolate chips, and the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Join us as we explore the journeys of those who defy the odds and break barriers. We dive deep into the stories of triumph.
Sometimes when parenting a child with a special need or whatever disability, family life becomes a bit complicated and you may end up raising the child on your own.
Here, we inspire.
I have a farm which one we showcase with other dyslexic youths and autism how to farm.
Motivate.
It's never easy, but what we do, the best thing is to work with another parent who has an elder child than yours.
And break through the barriers one story at a time. Push your boundaries beyond the limit. Saturdays at 8 p.m.